Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled between rolling green hills, there lived a woman named Maria. Life was peaceful in their little corner of the world. He had passed away 3 years ago, leaving a gaping hole in their lives. After his death, she had moved in with Joseph's family, seeking solace and support in their loving embrace. And overall, Maria was blessed with a large, close-knit family. Eli, too, seemed to dislike Raymond, often hiding behind his mother's legs whenever Raymond approached. Maria's instincts screamed danger. She explained everything she had seen and heard, her voice shaking with emotion. But her mother-in-law dismissed her concerns, attributing Raymond's behavior to mere politeness. "Why would Raymond do such a thing?" she said, her voice laced with disbelief. "He's a respected member of our community. You're just overthinking things." Maria's sister-in-law, Lucy, also tried to reason with her. "Don't be silly, Maria," she said, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. She understood the torment her daughter-in-law had endured, believing the wrong people and fearing for her grandchild's safety. Maria's mother encouraged her to hold on to her instincts, reminding her that they had guided her to seek help in the first place. "Raymond is a kind man. He would never hurt Eli intentionally." They searched his house and found several compromising items, including documents with names and addresses of young boys and encrypted messages discussing the transportation of minors. People were shocked and disappointed, wondering how they had been deceived by someone they had put on a pedestal. His classmates praised his mother for her bravery and quick thinking, and using his platform to raise awareness about child safety and the significance of maternal intuition. He understood that his mother's love and protective instincts had saved him, and he was eternally grateful for her unwavering dedication. They discussed how she had saved not only Eli, but potentially many other children from a terrible fate. This event became a defining moment in Eli's life, shaping his perspective on courage, compassion, and the importance of listening to one's instincts. The family was stunned. They had never suspected Raymond to be capable of such heinous acts. Guilt and shame washed over them for not seeing the warning signs and for judging Maria's intuition. The evidence was overwhelming. Raymond was arrested and taken into custody. She retreated to her room. She packed a small bag with essentials, put on her coat, and went to wake Eli up. Life had returned to normal, and he was happy to be back in school, playing with his friends and listening to his teachers. Maria's timely intervention had saved her son from a life of trauma and despair. As they walked away, Maria's determination grew. She would not let anyone harm her son. He excelled in his studies and was active in various extracurricular activities. He was loved by his peers and respected by his teachers. As he grew older, he would often reminisce about the incident with his mother, realizing the depth of her love and sacrifice. He understood that her actions had not only protected him, but it also prevented many other boys from falling victim to Raymond's clutches. The journey was long and tiring, but Maria's resolve never wavered. As soon as they arrived at her mother's house, she called the police and filed a report explaining everything she knew about Raymond's activities. The officers listened patiently, taking notes and asking questions. They were unable to take immediate action because there was no solid proof of any wrongdoing on Raymond's part. But they assured Maria that they would look into the matter. She had a feeling deep in her heart that something was wrong, and she couldn't ignore it. To everyone's surprise, they found evidence that linked him to a human trafficking ring. He had been using his position and charm to lure young boys away from their families, promising them a better life only to exploit them for his own sinister purposes. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community. People were stunned and horrified to learn that someone they had trusted and admired could be capable of such cruelty. He was fast asleep, his face peaceful in the morning light. Gently, she shook him awake, trying to mask her worry with a calm voice. "Time to get up, sweetheart," she said. "We're going on an adventure today." Eli yawned and stretched, unaware of the danger that lurked outside, her heart pounding in her chest. Sleep was impossible now. Every creak of the house, every rustle of leaves outside sounded like a threat. The thought of her son being in danger sent a wave of panic through her. What was Raymond planning? Was Eli at risk? However, since he couldn't articulate his feelings, Maria dismissed her son's behavior as childish fear. She tried to explain to Eli that Raymond was just a nice man who wanted to be friends, but Eli would shake his head adamantly. Burying his face in Maria's skirt, she had a warm relationship with her mother-in-law, father-in-law, and her husband's two brothers, Thomas and Raymond. Despite being married himself, he seemed to pay an unusual amount of attention to Eli. She saw Raymond sitting in a chair, his face illuminated by the soft glow of the lamp. But what truly caught Maria's attention was the phone pressed against his ear. His voice was low and raspy as he spoke in hushed tones. "Yes, everything is in order," he said. "The boy is young, easy to convince. I'll have him by next week." The last part of his sentence was barely a whisper, yet it sent chills down Maria's spine. Who was Raymond talking about? And why did his words send a chill down her spine? He would often ask peculiar questions about Eli's daily routine, the books he read, and even the games he played. Sometimes he would linger a little too long when tucking Eli into bed, which made Maria uncomfortable. But again, she pushed these unsettling thoughts out of her mind, choosing to focus on the positive aspects of her brother-in-law's character. They were all incredibly kind to her, often checking in on her and young Eli, making sure they were doing well. However, everything changed. Maria woke up from a nightmare. Her heart pounded in her chest as she strained to listen. Then she heard it, a muffled sound coming from the living room. Curiosity got the better of her, so she quietly got out of bed and crept towards the door. Peeking through the crack, she saw something that sent shivers down her spine. Days were filled with the sound of birds and the smell of fresh flowers from Maria's garden. Everyone adored him. He owned the most successful farm in the area, producing crops of the highest quality. He was respected by the villagers and even served as a leader in the local council, helping to make decisions that benefited the entire community. All the women in the neighborhood admired him, often stopping by his house to seek his advice or just engage in friendly conversation. He was known for his easy smile and gentle demeanor, treating everyone with kindness and consideration. This made him all the more popular in the village. She enjoyed every moment with her 6-year-old son, Eli, building sandcastles at the beach and reading bedtime stories under the starry sky. It wasn't anything he did, but rather an inexplicable feeling that settled in her stomach whenever he was near. His visits to their home were usually filled with awkward silences and forced smiles. Even his compliments towards Maria felt insincere. For instance, if she baked a cake and offered it to him, he would praise its taste with exaggerated enthusiasm. But Maria could detect the distaste in his eyes when he looked away after taking a bite. It was as if he were fulfilling a duty rather than enjoying her company. Maria's husband, Joseph, was the love of her life. Out of all of them, Raymond was the most charming. On the other hand, Maria couldn't help but feel a strange unease around Raymond. But it wasn't just Maria who sensed this tension. There was another aspect of Raymond that bothered Maria. One night, in the dim moonlight, as the questions raced through her mind, with the first rays of sunlight, Maria confronted her mother-in-law. Determined to protect her son, Maria decided to leave. Hand in hand, mother and son left the house, leaving behind the judgmental eyes and whispers of the family. Their destination was Maria's mother's house in the city. Over the next few days, the police investigated Raymond's activities. Meanwhile, Maria's mother provided her with emotional support, listening to her fears and comforting her during the difficult time. As the investigation progressed, the police closed in on Raymond. News of his arrest spread like wildfire through the village. As for Eli, he was oblivious to the turmoil that had been brewing beneath the surface. Years went by and Eli grew up to be a kind and intelligent young man. One day, while sharing his story with his classmates, Eli was met with admiration and gratitude. From that day on, Eli vowed to live his life to the fullest, honoring his mother's sacrifice. Moral of the story: a mother's intuition is powerful. When something feels wrong, trust it, because it might just save a life.